Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin and today we're going to be diving into quite a fun one to see your previous past lives and how they're still currently impacting your life here today. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. Alright, so welcome back, my beautiful kindred spirits, and everyone new who is joining us here for one of my Monday readings. Today we're going to be doing, as I said, quite a fun one, quite a spooky one, and it is definitely going to be a lighthearted one as we look into one of your previous past lives. This is a collective reading, so this isn't going to be super specific to you only, and more the collective of each of your guys' piles and the life lessons coming through, so more archetypal, more specifically personality based. So we're going to be looking into that here with each of your three piles. So I hope you guys are excited. Feel free to settle, get a cup of tea, grab some water, really let yourself play around with each of these piles and see what comes through and leave what doesn't. And if you're new, feel free to subscribe as well to this channel to see all of the other Monday videos that I've put out previously, and join this beautiful kindred spirit family. And before you guys start heading into the piles, before you start heading off, I do want to remind you guys that I am doing private readings. So if you're interested in a snail mail reading, a reading that is sent to you in the mail and typewritten on a vintage typewriter from the 1970s, definitely a fun vibe for this reading, then definitely check those out down below in the description, as well as on my Instagram, where I have lots of wonderful honest reviews and how people have found their readings to come along, how they've treasured them or found them to be very personalized to them. You also have the option to get handmade magical paper that I create myself as well, and a customized personal sigil to use in your rituals and workings, if that's something that you practice. So there's a lot you can play around with there, as well as the new offering that I'm putting out this specific month only. So if you're interested in the Samhain paper or Halloween paper that I am putting out as well, that is all with hand dried and locally found and foraged ingredients, as well as recycled paper, then definitely check that out as well on my Instagram and DM me if that's something that you would like to get, a little kit of your own to use for your Samhain rituals, to honor your ancestors, your past lives, as well as protection and also other fun magical attributes. Then definitely check that out down below, as it's a great way to support me while also being able to support you guys with this fun spooky season. So with everything said and out of the way, let's go ahead and start looking at each of these piles. So with each of the piles here today, I decided to use a vintage photograph, and I don't know who these people are, and I am very aware that all of these people are white, so I am sorry for that specific reason. I don't have a ton of old photographs to put on these piles that have a lot of diversity, unfortunately. So besides that element, that is what we have here. But each of these were sent by my amazing snail mail friend and my best friend, who sent each of these to me. She found them in a shop, and they were just random. So hopefully you guys enjoy them and resonate with them. But here we are with pile number 1. Each of them I put with a crystal as well. So here is pile number 1. We have all these different figures wearing different brown coats. And then we also have this crystal of tiger's eye. So that is pile number 1. For pile number 2, we have the crystal of rose quartz. It's in this little heart shape and has this really beautiful pink color. And then we also have these two ladies. I have no idea if they're siblings, if they're lovers, if they're best friends, if they're mother and daughter. I have no idea, but these are just two wonderful people just enjoying the view, I guess. So that is pile number 2. And lastly, for pile number 3, we have the smallest of them, but the most people in it. We have this little emerald for your crystal. It's a little raw piece of emerald, as well as this photograph where it looks like it's a little family. It looks like there are maybe like a mom or a guardian or aunt with 3 little kids here. But that is pile number 3. But before we really start diving into which pile is really fitting for you, which pile is really resonating for you, let's go ahead and take a deep cleansing breath so you can really dive in with your intuition in mind. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath together here now. And as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your piles. You can choose 1 pile, 2 piles, all 3 piles. You can choose a pile, flip-flop, change your mind. There really is no right or wrong way to do this, especially with past lives. Maybe you want to see all 3 of them, see how they each resonate for you and how they might correlate with your current life. I don't know. Definitely play around with this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. But if you're interested in finding your specific timestamp, that'll be down below in the description as well as in the chapter marks. And you can also find more of my beautiful community of kindred spirits down below on my Instagram as well. And there every single day, that's where you can see all the offerings for snail mail readings and the other offerings that I have for this month for the Samhain or Halloween paper. You could also use it for Beltane as well, and any further offerings that I have, as well as just seeing what I'm up to as well, because I do a lot of fun magic there. So if that's something that interests you, definitely check that out down below. And before I waffle on and make this intro any longer, let's go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this little piece of tiger's eye as well as this photograph, then this is the pile for you as we head into your past life or lives. We're really gonna look into your personality, maybe what trade jobs you were in, what kind of life you lived, what kind of person you were, and how that's impacting your life today, what cycles, what contracts you've signed, whatever you really believe in, but the lessons that have carried over or the ones that haven't really been learned. So we're going to be looking into all of that today using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using 2 different oracle decks, one that is new to me and I'm super excited to use today, of the Prairie Majesty Oracle. All of the materials that I will be using will be listed down below, as well as the Line Strider Tarot. And we're also going to be looking into the letter tiles for names, dates, places, and other things that may jog your memory. So as I mentioned in the intro, this is a collective reading, so it's not going to be, perfectly right on. This is going to be a more playful reading, but we'll see which parts resonate and which ones don't, and feel free to just play around, see how it works out for you. And do let me know how it resonates down below in the comments. And if you guys are excited, feel free to like this video, or if it resonates as we go on. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and start diving in. So, okay, group 1, your past life. Who were you as a person in your past life? What kind of job did you have? What kind of life did you lead? What kind of people did you surround yourself with? So here we have the Tower first off. So there's definitely some things. You were a person who maybe even embraced change, or there were just a lot of changes happening in your life quite rapidly. Maybe you moved a lot. Maybe you had to deal with, even weather changes. Maybe you lived in a place that had chaotic weather. That's what also I'm hearing with the lightning strike to that card. But let's see what else is coming in to get some more context for you guys. So here we are. We also have the 9 of Pentacles. So there is a sense of more financial security, or at least security in who you are, there's like an alluring factor to you, possibly even slightly more on the wealthy side. But we're going to see what else there is, especially with that change card. I don't know if you always were, or you had to really work your way up there. So I'm really curious to see more of that information. But here we are. Feel free to send your energy in. I forgot to say that, but you guys definitely did. Here we are with the Knight of Wands. Okay, so there's definitely a charming, alluring factor to you. You're a person that definitely is quite a magnet to other people. People find you alluring, they find you charming, they find you funny as well. I'm hearing, I feel like you guys make people laugh, or you just make people feel really comfortable very quickly. We also do have the 5 of Wands, so you do know how to be slightly more competitive is also what I'm getting here. You can be kind of a firecracker in this past life. You're the type of person that definitely, if you ever played a board game with someone, if you ever were out, I'm also getting gambling. I feel like you guys were quite more, like I said, I feel like you had more money to play with, that when these tower moments happened, you could, you'll be okay. But we're going to see what else here. So the final card here, we have the Two of Cups. That's so wonderful. So the Two of Cups shows that you were probably had a wonderful romance, or you had really close-knit friends, or a really close-knit chosen family within your life. People who you could really depend on, people who could depend on you as well. But I also am hearing that you guys were the type of people that, like, once you created that close-knit connection with someone, like if you found they were ever in trouble, you'd be that person that, whether it was morally wrong or not, you're going to help them out. You're going to always be there for them. And they did, vice versa for you, especially with the gambling or things like that. I feel like you could have been a slightly more sneaky person, a little bit more playful. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and start diving into these. I know I normally head into our oracle cards, but we're going to be using those to look into the lessons that you're going to be carrying over into this life. What's carrying over from the lessons, from the soul contracts, from the ideas that you had from this past life that have carried over. So we're going to look into that in a minute, but let's just talk about what we have here already. So like I said, I really do think there are some really key big aspects that are happening here. You are a type of person that was really okay with change, or you worked really well with change. You were really good at moving from place to place. Possibly you had to move with your family, or you moved on your own. But with that Knight of Wands, it definitely feels like you were okay with moving. But whatever, the only part that I think you had a hard time with moving around places, traveling places, or that you always had this yearning to do so, but there were people that were holding you back, people who, not holding you back because they didn't want you to go or spread your wings, but there is this idea of, like, with this Two of Cups, that I do think, especially being close to this Nine of Pentacles, that even though you have the money, even though you have the wealth, even though you have the excitement to move, and to keep changing and growing and transforming and being that type of person, you had such close-knit, like, your own personal kindred spirits in your life, or a very close-knit, even romance that was happening, possibly a marriage that did slightly tie you down. It did kind of hold you back once you got into your later years of life, and you had a lot of luxury, you had a lot of fine, fancy things to spend. You were, like I said, very alluring. People, you could even charm people into, when you're gambling, to kind of, like, you had a really good poker face. I do see a bit of, like, a gossipy kind of vibe going on here as well. So I don't know. I do think that the people that were on your side, that you truly cared about, you thick or thin, you were with them for life. But because of that, it held you back, or it made it so that you possibly got a slight bit bitter in your life. I think there was a bit of held resentment, and then that's where these Tower moments kept coming in. So where at the beginning of your life, I feel like you were very open to change, you were okay with change, you were excited about change. Change actually was like this driving factor in you. It did eventually sort of cause a bit of conflict. It caused this idea of, like, at once we were working together, we're playing, we're just, like, chilling, we're doing really good, and then that's starting to change. And I'm not saying that it ended up, like, I don't feel like if you were in a marriage, I don't think it, like, broke you up, but I do think it did really limit you. It did limit your space, and because of that, that's when you started to kind of fall from where it was charming and alluring to slightly more bitter and resentful, and there was just sort of like this ball of emotion that you didn't ever show to anyone else, right? That's what I'm getting here with this Knight of Wands, because, right, we have the horse. You're really determined, you want to go, you want to move, but, like, they're not on the horse, right? This is you wanting to be on the horse, this is your adventure in your head, but then you see all these shadows behind the horse. Like, these are the things that are holding you back. These are the things that aren't allowing you to move. So that's why I want to start looking into maybe why now that might have carried over, this idea that you can't move, or that change is something you crave but possibly can't find at this time. So we're going to look into your oracle messages here and see what starts coming in. So these are the messages that are still impacting you today. These are the things that have carried over. So let's go ahead and start looking into your Prairie Majesty oracle here and see what comes in for you, group 1. And definitely send your energy in, especially since we're looking into you right now. I say that and then we get these two, so I'm going to see which one resonates most. All right, so because we already had charm, as I've been talking about with you being very charming, that was one of the cards that showed up. I decided to go with this one, as it called to me even more. We have a strut here with the bird killdeer. It says here, am I carrying myself with love? And what I really like about this card is it does talk about like strutting your stuff, going for who you are, really embracing your unique qualities. And I feel like we're going to dive into your other messages here, but I do feel like I said, you're very alluring, you are very charming, you enjoyed change, you embraced change, and you were good at warding off the people that weren't, there for you. But in this life, I feel like sometimes you have, because of that resentment that carried over, you've now diminished yourself. You had to put yourself into a shell, you had to lower yourself, lower what you wanted out of life, the adventurous side, the excitement, the boundless sky to fly into. And instead you've had to sort of shelter yourself or be, where you had this whole open sky, you only get a little part of it to explore. And I feel like you're ready to explore in this life. You want to embrace that change again, embrace the entire picture, embrace even love again, but in a way that you get to embrace yourself too. So if you're going to be going into love, or if you are currently in a relationship with someone, definitely make sure that you both are individuals, that you aren't just following along with what they want, and you're allowing yourself to have your own individual thoughts, your own individual ideas and passions that are not entirely linked to the other. This can also be within friendships and other platonic relationships as well. But we're going to go ahead and dive into a few more of your cards here. So, what are you learning? What lessons are there still to learn in this lifetime? So I'm feeling this card here. We have dream, follow your yearning for the deep blue sea. Like I said, you want to be an adventurous person this time, right? You want that adventure because you didn't get it before, but you've had to diminish it down because of this fear. Almost like you fear the change now because you couldn't have it before, or that you don't even think it's available to you. But it is available to you, and this is all... It's a cycle that you've had in past lives, which definitely makes it harder to break. But being aware of it, I think, is already one big step. So we're going to see what else is coming in for you. Group one. Feel free to send your energy in. Group one. What lessons are you learning? We also have self-care. Drowning doesn't always require water. So definitely self-care is a big part of it. Like I said, there's all these beautiful grapes and these owls and these coins. So if you have the money and the time and the space and the abundance around you, which it seems that you do, or at least that's starting to carry over, take advantage of it. Allow yourself to have that. Allow yourself to have a little self-care moment that isn't just about money, but what you're using that money on. Maybe that's to go adventuring. Maybe that's a self-care for you. Maybe that's just literally flying on a plane to go somewhere. But the biggest thing that I'm seeing is to just open that sky, let yourself be more boundless, and let it be so much bigger and greater than yourself. We're going to get your final message here, and then we're going to go into your charms and letter tiles. But here we are. Let's see an affirmation for you, group one. So we have here, look for the signs 404. So this one is all about your intuition as well. So in this life, something that's starting to carry over as well as you have this intuitive sense, which I think is interesting because we are going to be later this month looking into your psychic and magical gifts. So stay tuned for that reading. And if not, I have one from last year that you can check out. But it does seem, instead of something that's carried over from a past life, that this is something new that you're trying out is with your intuition. Like I said, you had this gambling vibe, this alluring vibe, and you used that almost to your advantage in that same way. You were looking for the signs. Where you were being charming and alluring to other people, you were actually being very strategic, very very focused on what you were doing. And so bringing back some of that focus, but in a more psychic way, is starting to come in this life too. especially within your dreams. So definitely start looking into that as well. But I could talk my ear off on this, so we're going to go ahead and start heading into the rest of your reading and see what else there is coming in. I do have private readings that you guys can check out as well if you want even deeper into your past lives. But we're going to go ahead and move on to your letter tiles. So what do we have coming in for names, dates, and places? Past lives, group 1. You know when you just have like that one at the bottom of the bag that you can't get? So we have G, and I don't know why I've got like the Bee Gees in my head. Like I feel like that their songs are playing in my head. So maybe the 70s or something like that, especially since you have sort of a 70-ish picture. But I just heard like Bee Gees songs coming in here with GEENOR and P. So we do have Ron. We also have, like I said, in like this is no is what I first saw, but then instead of it being like you're putting your foot down, you're stating down your boundaries, you're strutting your stuff, you're being your unique self, there is like this idea of like having to be on for other people. Like you have to put on a face, put on this idea of who you have to be around other people, and possibly around a Ron. But there's this idea of like you needing to always be present and on and go and this sort of thing. And I think that that's where that self-care comes in, and then also just strutting your unique true self. And I think that comes down to one, finding who that is, really do some soul searching, but also once you find it, to be able to put those boundaries out, that this is what I really want, and saying no when you need to, and being like, no, I'm going to move, or I'm going to go after these goals, I'm going to go on that adventure, I'm going to get on that horse and actually do it this time because I have the opportunity to. Again, more Jeep sort of vibes, so again, more adventure. But I'm going to go ahead and let you guys start really looking into these. Definitely feel free to write them down, see what comes in specifically for you. But we're going to leave it there as we move on to your charms to get a little bit more here. We even have maybe Peggy, but let's go ahead and look in. So group 1. What do you have coming in here, group 1? Your past life. Okay, so a few of them that kind of flew everywhere, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can really see what we have here. I'll move this forward. Okay, so we have a few different charms happening here. We do have the scaredy cat charm as well as the spirituality charm, and just in general that there's a cat near there. I do see this idea of like I said, you have sort of this new psychic gift, this psychic idea coming into you, this spirituality that you haven't really, or even religion that hasn't really sparked for you yet. But there is this idea that it's happened in the past and you're ready to reconnect with yourself in that way. So there is something about reconnecting there. We do have you with charming new ideas coming in, new ideas possibly for self-care, self-love, and what that means for you. We do have the toxic heart, but we have the new steel heart. This is like more your new life, and this is the life that happened previously. So where we had a black heart before, we have a new heart coming in. So like I said, you had wonderful people around you, but they became more toxic over time, right? Toxic plants, it's something that the more you eat it, the longer you eat it, the more those toxins start to grow in your body, the more that resentment starts to happen. So it's really important in this lifetime that if you have any issues or problems with someone, you're very honest and direct right off the front, right off the bat, because if you try to hold that stuff in and hoard that stuff in, it's definitely not going to work for you, because we do have you being a rock for other people. You are super committed, you are very selfless in this past life. You are very committed, but it's time to not break the cycle of commitment, but put down some of your own boundaries. Start breaking that cycle of this idea that you have to be everything for someone else and not enough for yourself. We also have the teach a man to fish and a kind of charm. So this is that, like, you could get someone fish or you could teach them how to get the fish themselves. So you were a very resourceful person, and you like to teach. There is that new element coming in here, possibly teaching something to do with creative arts, because we do have the dancer here. So that might be something you might want to explore in this life, some creative arts, especially when it comes to your self-care. Like I said, we have this selfless charm heading towards new ideas of what self-care can be for you. You don't have to be bolted down to those old ideas and old roots. We also have the letter S showing up here as well next to all this self-care. So that may resonate for some of you. But with all of that said, with each of your charms, I am running out of time for your guys' pile. So if you have any questions about the charms, because I did kind of fly through them, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But we're going to go ahead and leave it there. I do think you guys had such a fun, charming presence. I really hope that in this lifetime you start to learn how to put your foot down, really tell what your needs are, and be honest with other people. You can have beautiful, wonderful relationships, but they have to be built on the idea that, yes, you can help other people, but they also need to be able to respect you enough to respect that, like, you have dreams and you want to go after them and you have your unique personality. You don't have to cloud it. You don't have to hold it back. You don't have to put it in a little cage and lock the key for someone else, you know? Definitely be your own individual this time, and then see who resonates and respects you within that and the life that you want to lead. So with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like if you really did like it. I appreciate it so much. Also, let me know in the comments down below how this resonated. It's the first time I've done a past life reading on this channel, but I do think that, you know, we have more than one and there's more lessons that we could be learning. So I definitely want to dive into more of these in the future. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. I also, like I said, do private readings for snail mail readings that you can check out, where I send a letter in the mail to you that is typewritten on a vintage typewriter from the 1970s. I also have the option where you can include magical spell paper that I create myself, and a customized personalized sigil for you that helps with the things that come up in your reading. You can even go into past lives or other things for work, career, for your love life, and so much more. So definitely check those out down below, as well as the other fun offerings that I have for magical spell paper for Samhain, if you're watching this closer to Samhain or Halloween. So definitely check out those offerings down below. And I think that's everything that I wanted to say. Feel free to subscribe if you would like to. Join this Kindred Spirit community, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hello group 2. If you've decided to choose this little rose quartz heart as well as this photograph, then this is the pile for you. We're going to go ahead and get started here by using all sorts of different materials. We're going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using a new to me oracle deck that is the Prairie Majesty Oracle. Super excited about it, as well as the Sea Melodies and the Lion Strider Tarot deck. And we're also going to be using these letter tiles for names, dates, and places, which I'm really excited about as well. Like I said in the intro, we're going to be looking into your past lives, or specifically one life in this reading, and it is a collective reading, so if you are interested in really diving into more of these past life lessons, definitely check out my snail mail readings below that you could get for a private reading, and we can really dive into them. But this one's going to be more general, and see what comes in, as well as the lessons that are carrying over into this life, the soul contracts, the lessons, the ideas that are still carrying over, good or bad, or neutral. So there is a lot we're going to be diving into, so let's go ahead and dive right on in. Feel free to send your energy in through time and space now, so we can really start to connect to you and see what comes in. But here we are, group 2. Who were you in a past life? You know, what kind of job did you have? What kind of person were you? Alright, so first we have the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups can be quite selfless. She's also very creative, very in tune with the water element, of the idea of just being very in flow, in flux, in constant movement. but not like she has to move around a lot, but just that there's this idea of you just needing to like move to the next project, and you're inspired all the time, moving, but flowing into it like a river versus like a lake, So we're going to see what else is coming in here for you, group 2. Who are you in a past life? All right, so we have a couple coming up here. So I'm going to go ahead and read all of them. We have here temperance. So there is sort of this balancing energy, this idea of moderation as well. Then we also have the Knight of Cups. So seeing both the Queen and the Knight can showcase like a really compatible relationship. But honestly, I'm getting more of a like, you were possibly a mother or father or parent figure, guardian, to possibly a younger, I'm feeling like boy because it's night, but it can really be anyone. I just feel like you had a child in your life. And then we also have here the Six of Pentacles. So we're going to dive even further into this with one more card. So let's see your final energy coming in here. There definitely is this like highlight on relationships in your life, like interpersonal relationships, familial relationships, that family really meant everything to you. You put everything down for your family. Like there's just so much care and love to give. So let's see what else there is. Group 2, past life. Group 2, what life did they lead? So we also have here the Seven of Wands. You did not back down from a fight. That's really cool too. So even though you have this watery energy, you definitely didn't let people take advantage of you. You knew when you were being kind, when you were being helpful, but you didn't allow people to just walk all over you. You weren't always the best at it because we don't have like the Nine of Wands. We were like kind of holding your fort. We have more of the Seven of Wands, so you did it when you knew when people were kind of step over your boundaries. So if you guys are used to my readings, I typically head over to the rest of the cards and we go deeper into the reading, but we're going to first focus on your tarot cards. And with the oracle cards, these are going to be the lessons that are, or the certain parts of your past life that are kind of carrying over for good, for bad, for neutral. So we're going to dive into those later on. Let's go ahead and start here with just your past life. So like I said, I really think family was everything to you, and I do see more of a single parent kind of vibe. Like I think that you were a single parent or an aunt or an uncle or something like that, where you were just very focused on one certain part of your life. I feel like you just had that like one kid that you were really like close to, you guys kind of just really bonded with. You had like just such a deep like kindred spirit relationship. Like we always talk about soulmates as if they are only reserved for love in terms of romantic relationships, but you can have soulmates even with your daughters, your pets, your mother. You can have these people who constantly stay in your life, and I really do feel like you were a parent in your past life in some way, that you had this soul connection towards this fellow, whatever gender really is popping out for you. But we do have the Knight, and this Knight is I feel like a really young, like I feel like up to young adult age by the time you possibly like passed in this past life. But I feel like you guys were really close, and I feel like having that close-knit relationship either has followed into a relationship you currently have in your life, like if you definitely feel like you already know who this maybe is in your personal life now, but there is this like, if you feel like there was someone who feels like that type of connection, that connection is still there, or it's still available to you with this person. But you definitely wanted to be a very flowing type of parent, a parent that, yes, did teach someone to hold their ground and know when to be kind and know when to be generous and all that kind of stuff. But I think you were a very balanced type of parent with this temperance energy. I think you wanted to be also very flowing. You wanted to teach them how to dip their toes into everything in life. You have the little dips of toes. So I really do think like your biggest legacy is to just pass on that wisdom that comes from emotional wisdom, not like a legacy of money or a legacy of, family business, all wonderful things, depending on the relationship to these people. But in this case, I really think a lot of what you wanted was just to be able to give all of yourself to this figure of the knight, to your next of kin, and really teach that wisdom. So I think that may have carried into this life. Maybe you're a teacher, a mentor, someone who works with young children or something like that, because it just really feels like you want to pass on that emotional knowledge, to be very connected deeply with the people that are young and that you can give back to, because where the Six of Pentacles does talk a lot about giving back in terms of like finances, I think in this case it's more wisdom. We also have the Seven of Wands. So like I said, there is this idea of needing to like you were almost really kind to your neighborhood is what I'm hearing. Like I feel like you were living in a small town and you were really kind to those in your neighborhood. You guys worked really symbiotically. You really give and take. There's a lot of give and take, a lot of balance in your life. But whenever someone wanted to tip that scale, tip that balance, move things out of control or out of the flowing river that you had, right? So seeing yourself as a flowing river, everything's flowing when it's in balance. When someone all of a sudden puts a log on top of that river and kind of cuts it off or puts a dam there, that's when you're like, no, that's not gonna happen. And you put down those boundaries. You use all of your force. That river just pushes that away. That dam is gone. But because of it, it also usually causes a lot of aftermath, right? If you have a river that's dammed and all of a sudden you just break that dam, all of that emotion has to flood out. So I do think you have a quick temper, or less so a quick temper, but more a temper that just like, once those floodgates happen, there's no stopping it. So like I said, some people like to exploit kindness, people like to exploit generosity, and you had people in your life that were exploiting that, and that may even carry over to now, and how selfless you want to be with other people. And possibly as life went on, you had to be more and more hard or more harsh. Your river had to flow a lot more quickly so you could just like push through the people, push through the BS, And I feel like in this life, you're still young enough. I feel like you're a younger spirit in some way. It doesn't really matter your age, just there's still this wisdom to find of finding balance in that river, because I feel like right now there's this idea of like maybe it's still being a trickle because you almost had all these floodgates happening, constantly trying to get past these people who are exploiting your kindness, that you almost don't want to be as kind as you used to be. Like it's almost hardened a bit. So we're going to see what else there comes in here with the Prairie Majesty Oracle and see what you get here. But we're looking for the lessons, the soul contracts, the things that are possibly holding you back or adding to your life now from this past life. So we have Soar. I am ready to be seen. This one is so beautiful. It is the bald eagle. So what I think is really interesting is you do have like, the expression of the heart on your sleeve. Something that we didn't really talk a lot about is because you are so much more attuned to the emotional element, like I said, it kind of hardened. Instead of your heart being on your sleeve, it's kind of deep in your chest. You've kind of had to protect yourself. What isn't being seen, your emotions aren't being seen. You've had to hide some of those back, even though you gave a lot of wisdom and you tried to keep that balance there. That balance has kind of tipped the scales, and instead of being the scales where you're like pushing and being like, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to be, this is what I want to teach, this is the wisdom that I have, instead that's been sort of put on the other side, especially in a digital world where there's so many flashing lights, people telling you to do this, telling you to do that. I almost feel like you're not hearing your own personal wisdom anymore. Like I said, you lived in a very quiet town, or it just feels like a very small town life. You didn't have a lot of people, a lot of busyness around you. Everybody knew everybody, and that was actually something you treasured. So because you were always seen, people always knew just who you were, and there was no reason to hide anything. And in this digital world, I feel like you've had to hide yourself. You've had to hide your emotions, put them aside for other people, or not allow yourself to soar or teach that wisdom that you have. And I think, like I said, you're a younger soul, you're gaining that wisdom back. And as you do, those little nuggets, especially when it comes to emotional wisdom, how to make that river flow in better balance for yourself, your own personal emotional river, especially if you're a type of person that feels like you really have kind of put your heart back in its chest, kind of locked it away, threw away the key. I do think you're ready to start bringing that back, start bringing some of that old self back in. I want to see what else we have here. So we're going to see here with the Sea Melodies deck, which is very apt for you guys with all this water energy. So group, and you might be a water sign, but group 2 here. Group 2. What do we have coming in for group 2 for lessons they're learning in this new life from this past one? Group 2. So we have determination. Don't be afraid of the rising tide. It will recede soon. So again, coming back into balance, I feel like you almost fear emotion. Sorry, it's not focusing, but here we are. So I almost feel like you fear some of your emotion. Like you don't allow yourself to cry, or you don't allow yourself to let that even be seen, or vulnerability is a really hard thing for you because of this hardness that happened over time, like people exploiting your kindness. So I think you are a very kind-hearted person. You have a lot of determination to want to spread wisdom, to be, a teacher or mentor. And maybe you even are, maybe you've gotten past this part, but it is something that is still being brought back up, is this idea of don't be afraid to be seen in your emotions, to at least with those people that you feel really close-knit with, and that community that you feel really close-knit with. Make sure you are expressing those emotions. Let's see what else there is coming in here for you. Group 2. Group 2, and feel free to send your energy in group 2. All right. So the last card that we have here is, and I forgot to put the rest of this deck back, but the last card that we have here is Voyage, set sail on a new course. So this is about just setting sail. So I feel like with the last group too, we had one that was very just random. So this is something new that I think your personal soul wants to start bringing in. So what is this new soul mission that you have for this life that doesn't necessarily have to carry from the last one? Is voyage, set sail, go on an adventure that you haven't got to go on before, because like I said, you were in a small town, maybe you didn't get to travel a lot just because of where you lived or the type of people that you're around. Possibly you didn't even have like the money, because I don't feel like you were highly wealthy, very wealthy in knowledge and emotional bonds, but not really in like the pocket money to just set sail. So if you have that, definitely start heading on some new fun adventures. We're going to get one last message here, but then we're going to start heading into the rest of the reading. So we're going to look into your affirmation for this life. Let's see here. So we have all three, and I'm just going to go ahead and let you all know what they are. So we have trust your intuition, chill out, and what if. So it's almost like if you chill out and really listen to your intuitive self, you're going to see that there's so much more opportunity to you. If you really allow that water element to come in. I really think it's really important that you connect to your water element in this life, especially if you're maybe an air sign or a fire sign even. I think that it's important to really connect back to your watery element, that flow, that intuition, that intuitive sense that you had previously before all that wisdom that was gained, because that what if can turn back in your favor, back to more of a positive what if, like what if things go right versus what if things go wrong, when you can really allow yourself to be still with the water. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the rest of your reading. I may not have as much time for the charms because I'm feeling chatty with your guys' cards today, but we're going to go ahead and start looking into the rest. So let's go ahead and see what you have for your letter tiles, group 2. Okay. So we're not going to take a lot of time on these. I want to see what you guys find for yourself. But we have W, A, O, Q, another W, E, L, E, T, and C. So we do have cat showing up here. I also just felt like quell, like quarter quell, made me think of like the Hunger Games for whatever reason. Not sure how that comes up. We do have wow. So there is something about possibly surprises still on the horizon for you, possibly with that that new voyage that you're setting sail on. We do have Kate showing up here as well as a name, as well as possibly Tate or even Lee. But I'm going to go ahead and let you guys settle into these and see what else comes in, wows you with each of these letters. Definitely let me know your own personal findings in the comments below. I'm always curious. But let's go ahead and look into your letter tiles, the last little tidbits here for you. Okay. I did not feel like you guys needed a lot. Around the letter A, we have a couple showing up here of both the rhino and the disheartened kind of charm. It's sort of like where you feel like there's just not as much going on as you would wish or would like. So there is this idea of determination, something around the letter A, and feeling like, again, someone took your kindness and sort of wilted that flower, made you harder, made you have to be more defensive, be that rhino, constantly having to push people back, push other people's kindness back. So I think that even in this lifetime, I think even when you see other people being kind to you or offering you help, there is also this aspect of being defensive or being like, no, I can do this on my own. I can do this by myself. I can soar without you. I don't need you around. That community that you used to have before, that close-knit community, I feel like has been partially lost. And because of that, you don't feel like you have the ability to feel as safe or feel as cared for, because you've kind of pushed that care away. Your heart isn't on your sleeve anymore. It's been kind of hardened into shell, because we do have this can represent Cancer, but it also is just a crab, right? You're like nipping around on the sand, and that like softness that's on the inner shell has kind of been hardened. So there is this idea of needing to open yourself back up, open your emotions back up, let that river keep flowing, because I think instead of having other people be that dam that's like kind of pushing you back or telling you can't, or exploiting your kindness, instead this time I feel like you're the dam that's not allowing your own kindness around you to come in, and the kindness of others who are looking out for you. We do have the black and white charms, so again, there is more of that temperance energy, that fluidity that wants to come out. And then we do have two other charms. We have the energized charm, because I always find peppermint to be very energizing. It reminds me of like toothpaste, very cleansing. So there is something about cleansing, again, more water. The amount of water in your guys' pile is like blowing my mind. It really is a wow factor. So there is something about maybe even connecting with your intuition, connecting with water. I am going to be doing a psychic and magical gifts video. I've already done one previously last year, but I'm going to be doing one again. So definitely stay tuned in like the next 2 weeks, because I think I'm going to be doing another one of those. And if you guys get the watery element pile, I will not be surprised, because I do think you have some psychic gifts having to do with water or magic. And then we also, the one thing that's kind of throwing me for, not really a loop, but something that's coming in here is, instead of I have a couple different keys, and this key is the logic key. This is the key of like, if you're a Ravenclaw, like this is like the key of the Ravenclaws, the people who are very highly intelligent. So I think that you're a very intelligent person. You're highly intelligent. You use that to energize you, use that to move you forward, and you use that to kind of create a control for yourself, right? You've kind of learned the technology to create the dam, and that's why it isn't flowing. So I think you need to reconnect with your roots, reconnect with the earth, even maybe go to a river or something like that, put your body in it and see what healing could come from that. Because I feel like if you really meditate in water or connect to that water element, a lot of wisdom of your own from this past life can start to sort of unfold itself. That dam can start to kind of disintegrate a little bit by putting logic aside and instead trusting your intuitive sense. With that, trust your intuition. So with all of that said here, group 2, I was almost going to say 1, I hope that you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please let me know in the comments down below how it resonated for you, what specific charms came in, how this resonates with your life currently. I would love to know. Also, let me know by giving this video a like if you really did like it. I appreciate it so much. It helps this channel grow exponentially, and I just appreciate it so much. But also, if you would like to check out the private readings that I do for either another past life reading or for love, career, spirituality, magical gifts, other fun things, or any other ideas that you have, feel free to DM me on Instagram or check it all out, all the information down below. You can even email me about them. But basically, I send you a letter in the mail that is typewritten on a vintage typewriter from the 1970s. So it has that vintage past life element already kind of tied to it. I also add in, if you would like, some magical items that I use, local hand-dried ingredients to put into handmade magical paper for spell work, for workings and ritual, as well as a crafted personalized sigil specifically for you and to aid in what comes up in your reading. So there's a lot of fun that you can check out in those readings. They're very personal, very customized, and I put so much love into each reading that I send out. So it definitely is very personal for you. So if that's something you want to check out, definitely check all the information on that down below. And also subscribe if you would like to see more of these readings that I put out on this channel too, for all sorts of things as well, for psychic gifts, career, spirituality, and so much more. So definitely check that out as well. And I do believe that's everything, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this little piece of raw emerald as well as this photograph, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set them down here so you can see them during your reading here today, as we are going to be diving into a past life of yours. There's tons of different past lives and everybody has different views and opinions on them, as I mentioned in the intro, so definitely take this how it resonates. It is a collective reading, so leave what doesn't, see, and we're just going to kind of play around and see what resonates for you. We are going to be using lots of different items here. We're going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using my new oracle deck that I'm super excited about, the Prairie Majesty Oracle, as well as the Sea Melodies deck and the Line Strider Tarot. And we're also going to be using the letter tiles as well for names, dates, places, and other fun oracle messages. So there is definitely a lot we're going to be putting on this table and playing around with, so I hope you guys are excited for all the fun little details, and we're gonna just see what comes through, play around, and if you guys are ready and settled, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Feel free to send your energy in through time and space here now. We're gonna go ahead and dive right on in. So group 3, who were you in a past life and what lessons are you learning? So group 3 here. Were you a farmer, a librarian, a chef, who knows, what time period even? We have the 7 of Swords, so you are a little bit sneaky. We have the 7 of Swords. You don't always like to give all the information. You could have been like possibly a pirate, or you could have been, it depends on the time period, depends on what really resonates with you, but basically there's this sneaky energy that's kind of showing up here, and we're going to see what else comes in here for you, group 3. So group 3, what do we have coming in here for group 3? Whoop. So we have a couple showing up here. We have the Magician as well as the 8 of Swords. So very different energies to be showing up. The Magician has everything it needs, and the 8 of Swords is much more tied down. So there is this idea of possibly having to be a thief, or, you know, kind of smuggle in what you needed. Not saying that maybe you were just highly resourceful in that way. You had to have street smarts, you know, not be seen. So we're going to see what else comes in here for you. Group 3. Okay. So we also have the High Priestess. You are highly intuitive and you waited your time. That's what I'm getting mostly from this card, is that you took your time. If there was like something coming in, like a big bounty that you were going to try to get, or there was some sort of like type of energy that you had to use those street smarts, you were going to really use your intuition, really take time to be smart about it. Like I said, your street smarts you're very intelligent. You had to be, in terms of like common sense. So let's see what else there is coming in. So we also have the Queen of Swords, highly intelligent. Seriously, you guys are very intelligent souls within this lifetime, and within this past life. There is definitely an energy of like you got it all, but not because of material goods or anything like that. I just think that you knew what you wanted and you knew how to get it and you were gonna make it happen. You know what I mean? So before we start diving into the oracle messages, we are going to dive into the rest of this reading. The reason why I want to hold out on the oracle messages where I normally would go ahead and head into them is because I want to use these for the lessons that are coming in this lifetime. So this is your past life, this is the lessons coming in. So let's go ahead and focus on your past life here first. So like I said, you were highly intelligent, highly street smart. You had so much common sense, but I do think you had to go through the rough of it. I think you were kind of scrappy. You were, like a little young Hamilton or something like that. Like you had to move quickly, fast, and be on your feet. You were constantly having to survey the land, survey who was around you, who's in your social circles. You had to make sure that you had your guard up a lot as well, is what I'm getting here too, is that you had to always have your guard up because you felt like, someone was always going to be looking out for you. You possibly also had to move around a lot because you were possibly smuggling things, or you had to do it to survive. There's a lot of you're not doing it just for fun, although I do feel like sometimes it was, like the thrill of it. I do think that you guys just had to be smart to survive, to just make it through this world. So there is this idea also that I think you had all this intelligence, but you, like I said, you had to use it for not necessarily what you always wanted. So I think you had dreams, you had ambitions, you had this life that you wanted for yourself, but you couldn't necessarily get it. You didn't always have all the tools available to you, like the magician usually does. They have all the tools. They have the cups, the wands, all the suits. But in this case, I think that you were kind of either you felt like everyone was against you, or like you had to constantly keep moving, you had to be scrappy, you didn't have the money, you didn't have the resources to be able to pull that off. That being said, I do think, like I said, you would wait out your time, you would make it happen. If you had to wait to get that resource, or to be kind of still for a moment so that you can actually receive those beautiful blessings that you have to almost find yourself, I do think you were okay with waiting a really long time to get there. So I do think that you had to, like I said, get those cups, those wands, those suits. They weren't just handed to you. You had to definitely go out of your way, use your smarts, use your street smarts. The other thing though, like I said, you had a lot of ambition, you had a lot of love for knowledge. I think you wanted to maybe go to a college, or go to, learn from someone else, be in an apprenticeship. And I really do think you maybe did, but you couldn't stay long because of this situation. So even though you would find apprenticeships, or you were able to find someone who could mentor you, you couldn't stay long. You were constantly having to move from place to place to place because when you aren't honest with people, if you aren't finding the resources, the money, the work, and you have to find other means to do so, you can't always be honest with everyone. And because you aren't being honest, you aren't also able to pursue some of those goals, to stay in one place. So I really do think you were alone a lot. You didn't have a lot of huge community. You didn't have a lot of people constantly backing you up. You were very much, you looked after yourself. You looked after your own back. And, that can definitely have carried over into this, being maybe more introverted, being a hermit, being possibly where you felt like you can't trust people, or that there's this need for control all the time, to control the elements, to control the situation, because you can't trust other people to be able to do what you either expect of them, or you just are, feel like they can't do what you can do, But I do want to go ahead and dive into your lessons then, and see where they start to correlate with this past life. So feel free to send your energy in. We're going to be using this beautiful new deck to look into these messages. So group 3, there we are. We have Soothe. Am I receiving peace? Ooh, that's beautiful. Here's the card. So yeah, it says Soothe. the river, and it says, am I receiving peace? So there is something about wanting to settle down, to not always having to follow the river for the resources, right? People would follow the river, the towns would grow around a river because I feel like you had to follow the resources, follow where you can find the resource. So in this case, you were constantly following the resources, following other people, following the pace of these towns through and through. And you weren't able to stop and just enjoy the peace that comes with the river, the sounds that come with the river, being more in tune with nature and the river, because you were so go, go, go on your feet to make sure you were never caught. There wasn't a level of trusting anyone else or trusting this space to provide for you, because you always had to provide for yourself. So we're going to see what else is coming in here and see how it really connects with this river. I do think it's interesting that you got the river. If you aren't feeling fully connected to this specific pile, definitely check out pile 2. I think that you can find a lot of insights there. Losing my voice here a little bit. But we have here anchor. And it says, keep yourself grounded. So I think it's really interesting that we just went from the river, where I said you're following the river. You're constantly having to follow that path, follow the resources, follow the fish, follow the things that are going to keep you alive, keep you surviving, keep you moving, all that kind of stuff. And there's something about wanting to be grounded in this lifetime, wanting to start grounding yourself back down. Not that you're tied down, but more so that you can find peace by finding a beautiful cabin by the river, by feeling like you can settle somewhere because there's trust, there's honesty. You don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to keep moving from place to place. Let's see what else there is. We're going to get one more here. Group 3. What do you have coming in here, group 3? Okay. So we have here stillness. In calm waters, everything becomes clear. Again, being still, calming down. Where you used your intuition before to protect yourself, to survive. In this case, you're using your intuition and your intellect to settle, to ground yourself, to anchor yourself down, to find friends, family, people that you can trust, because you can trust other people. You don't have to be alone anymore. You don't have to survive by yourself anymore. You can ask and receive help this time around. There's a sense of clarity when you get to really slow down with the river as well. Enjoy your emotions, enjoy the moment. You don't have to be go, go, go. And I think that that's carried over into your current life, that you may feel like you have to do it all on your own. If people want to offer help to you, you feel like, no, I can do it by myself. I don't need other people to help me. I've got this on my own. Or you feel like you can't stay grounded. Your friend groups constantly change. The people that you're dating constantly change. You feel like you can't commit to anyone because you are a lone wolf. But you don't have to be a lone wolf. That's something that you can now decide. You can break that contract with your past life and be like, no more. This is not me. You can do that with magical rituals. You can do that in other more magical forms and ways. But you can also just use that through affirmations. So we're going to see what affirmation comes in for you here, group 3. So what do we have coming in here for an affirmation for group 3? So we have a few different ones here. But honestly, I'm just feeling this one. So we have here, breathe in a fresh new start. So like I said, you get to be the sole creator of this lifetime, of this life that you are currently in. There may be things that carry over, but you get to decide when you get to settle, when you get to make these new friends, when you can start changing these mindsets, these soul contracts, these places that you have somehow decided, okay, when I grow up, I'm going to be doing this. We even make soul contracts with ourselves even now in our current lifetime. So if you ever told yourself and been so determined, so this is how my life is going to go, when you do that often enough, you kind of write your brain, you write your soul to be that. So in this case, I think you've written your soul, you're going to be a lone wolf. So how do you want to start changing that? If you've been in relationships and they aren't working out, then that's probably because you have to break this contract so that you can start finding yourself again. So you can start finding other people again and trust other people. Begin to trust other people and trust yourself to know that you don't have to be alone to navigate this world, to survive anymore. Very empowering messages. So we're going to go ahead and move on to your letter tiles here, group 3, and we're going to see what's coming in also with your charms. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So this is going to be names, dates, and places. So group 3. Okay. So first off, we have P and R. It made me think of Peter or Peter Pan for some reason. We have P, R, R, T, A, Q, and H. HQ, that's kind of interesting. If you guys are still very highly intellectual, even into this lifetime, that may have carried over as well. So on like good lessons as well, could have been that your high intellect still carried over. The idea of prana is almost showing up here for you. We also have trap, which I think is really interesting. Like I said, I feel like it's hard for you to you constantly are protecting yourself. You have your own personal little bubble, your own space, and other people who are in your space are trapped. You're constantly being like, okay, what if they do this? What if they cheat? What if they move on? What if they don't stay with me? What if I can't find the resources with them? What if this isn't the right job? There's all these what ifs that I think are constantly swirling around in your brain because of this old survival mode that's been constantly, and even has possibly happened in your current lifetime where you feel like you have to be a lone wolf. These are things that you can start changing out of. You're not being trapped. You're settling because you need to settle, because you need to find an anchor, because you need to ground. It's not necessarily a trap. It's not being tied down. It's instead finding inner peace from by allowing yourself to settle, allowing yourself to flow with that river versus run with it, or rather away from it. So I'm going to go ahead and set these up here, and we're going to look into your charms, but do let me know if anything else comes in for you with all of these different messages. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. I always think it's really interesting, especially for this one, to see if you guys see any names, dates, places, or other really fun oracle messages. So here we are, group 3. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see everything that's going on here, and you aren't missing out on anything. All right, so right here in the center, we do have the Star of Hope, but it also represents guidance, your own personal inner star, your own North Star that you're constantly following. So there is a high intuitive element, a part of you, that you're constantly following this North Star, following this idea, like I said at the beginning, that I feel like you had this like want for not always just surviving, but having more than that. You can finally, pursue your goals, this apprenticeship, going to college, or going in some way to learn, or a trade job or something like that. I just feel like you really want to learn and to grow and to move towards just surviving and to settling into a place, having an actual place of work, having a place that feels like home that you can go to. And I feel like you're still being guided towards it. So definitely listen to this inner voice, into this inner soul mission that you have here for something that really evokes your soul. It's not about the money either, because we do have the fake money charm. So this is about being fake, but it also can represent not, caring about the money. It isn't about the money. It's about it's not about the resources anymore. It's about knowing that you have hope, that you have awareness and self-awareness for yourself in these old cycles, to know that you can pursue these goals this time around. You don't have to hold yourself back. There is a magical element to you, because we do have also, this came up in the other pile too, we have the scaredy cat, but this also can represent like black cats and things like that. So definitely an October-y or Beltane-y kind of vibe, where you may be wanting to practice magic in this lifetime, practice spirituality, practice that's magical side of you. And honestly, every single pile, the magic hat or the scaredy cat or something that like is very magical has come up. And there's definitely a lot for your piles. So if you guys are interested in your psychic and magical gifts, you can check out my reading on that somewhere here. But I am going to, in the next 2 weeks, be doing another reading on your psychic and magical gifts and abilities. So if you're interested in a refreshed video of that to see some more insights on your own, definitely stay tuned for that. Some of the other charms we have the letter Y showing up here. So this again is like those what ifs, those whys. You're constantly asking those questions, and it's heading towards the release moon. You're ready to release that idea of always having to ask questions, always having to be one step ahead of every person because of that survival mechanism. You can be a little bit selfish, that you can be a little bit selfless, that you can stay in a place long enough to have both and to slow down, because we also have the turtle. The other thing that I think is interesting about this, it does represent slowing down, you know, being slow like the turtle wins the race, but you had it this way, which also tells me that you're opening your shell, you're opening, you know, to your softer side, and you're allowing yourself, and it's scary, this vulnerability, being vulnerable with other people, but I think that you're ready to open up to that in this lifetime. The other things that we have here is the letter 8. 8 does talk about new money coming in, or at least feeling more financially stable. And then we also have moving on, because this charm is from a old pair of jeans that I had that I outgrew when I was a child, and I loved these jeans and they were amazing and it worked for me so long. But just like a pair of old shoes, they're eventually going to die, and this button ended up just popping right off. So it talks about you like overextending the use of that idea of survival, of trapping, or feeling like you are trapped. It's definitely something that's within your mind, and it's something that you're going to have to work on over time. It's not going to just be like you watch this reading and like, ta-da, everything's better. But having that self-awareness, especially since awareness and clarity have come up 2 different times with the stillness of that clear water and awareness, I really think that you're going to start to realize what these old habits and ideas that have been cycling around for ages can stop spiraling, that they can start to either have an end to them or start to lead into a new path, a new stage of stillness and peace. So with all of that said, I really do hope you enjoyed this reading here with me today, and looking into your past life and how it's affecting you even now, for good, for bad, for neutral reasons. I think you guys are wonderful people that I think, you know, you've had to survive, but I think that you are ready to open yourself up to love, to other places, to other people, and these old habits, these old ideas are still rooted within your soul, and I think you're ready to start changing that, to start finding peace and inner peace with that, and that's definitely going to take time and effort, but I think you guys are ready for it. Let me know in the comments down below how this resonated, and also like this video if you really did like this reading. It really helps the channel grow, and I appreciate it so much. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to check out the other fun magical pick a card readings that I have. And then also, if you're interested in looking even deeper into other past lives, other lessons that you could get, or even just into career, spirituality, your own self-growth and empowerment, or even into love and romance, then feel free to check out the snail mail readings that I provide down below, that you can check out, that are all sent to you in the mail, that is hand typed by a vintage typewriter from the 1970s. So it definitely has that past life vibe to it already, with the typewriter. But it also has these beautiful offerings that I create for you that is specific to your reading and what will aid you in your own rituals, spells, and workings, with handmade magical ingredients that I create and place into your own handmade magical spell paper and sigil. So there's a lot you can check out. I'm not articulating it the best for whatever reason. I'm losing my voice right now. But you can check those out down below. And I do believe that's everything. So feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.